Recently I recorded a few videos about countering the early queen attack, which is an unsound and somewhat disrespectful attempt of your opponent to checkmate you within a couple moves. Now, in comments to that video, many of you have asked me to record a similar analysis of how to punish white for trying this early queen attack against the Sicilian defense, which is another common opening, and here we go, we're gonna do that today. By the way, there was another interesting comment to that video. Usually while talking about those unsound, tricky attempts of your opponent to defeat you early in the game, I encourage you to be brutal. And so all about the Sicilian defense, we're gonna check out this variation, and I've checked the database. Indeed, there are a lot of white players who are still trying this early queen attack and the scholar's checkmate kind of thing against the Sicilian defense. Strange, but it's true. So here they usually go bishop c4 first, and after that, at first it may seem like you may wish to play pawn e6 and just shut down these diagonals straight away, but my second thought was, why stop white from playing this round plane, from pursuing that round plane? It is actually damaging to them to do that, so, instead of that, I'd go knight to c6, rather provoking white to continue with their plan. And here they'll usually go either queen to f3 or queen to h5 with the same purpose of checkmating you on f7 on the next move. Of course, you may notice that there's white's bishop standing here supporting this attack, and we're going to cover both options, both queen f3 as well as queen h5. Queen f3 is more common, so let's talk about that first. Now here, of course, what you do not want to do is you do not want to go something like knight e4 trying to counterattack here, because that will fail right to this queen take f7 checkmate. That's what they're hoping for. Now, instead, you do need to close this file by playing knight to f6. And here, white is already going to suffer some consequences of their unsound development of the queen, because on the following moves, you're threatening either knight d4, attacking the queen and this pawn on c2, or maybe knight to e5, attacking the queen and the bishop. They usually go pawn to d3, just saying, okay, this didn't work out, let's continue playing normal chess. But we don't want to let them get away with this unsound attack and just continue to play normal chess. So what I encourage you to play here is an unusual move, pawn to b5, kind of baiting white. They were trying to be tricky, and now it's your turn to be tricky. So you're trying to seduce white to capture this pawn. Most of your opponents will do that, and here after knight to d4 they'll find out that this is a double attack and there is no way for them to save their bishop. Thus you are achieving a totally winning position. It's actually even a triple fork, because you're also threatening knight takes c2 with the fork of the king and rook. So that's one nice variation. You're highly likely to win games just like that with this simple counter trick. But let's take it back. What if your opponent didn't fall into this trap and just moved the bishop back to b3? In this case, there is also a really beautiful follow-up here that I found for you. It's knight to d4, attack the queen. They'll usually bring it back because they realize that this checkmating attempt didn't work out anyway. Now you continue with pawn to a5. Now your idea is to hunt for this bishop on b3. You can see that after pawn to a4, the bishop is nearly trapped. They'll usually play pawn to c3, trying to, provide some escape square for their bishop and also to get rid of your centralized knight. You trade here on b3, and here, once again, you bait white to capture the pawn on b5, but this time with the queen. You play pawn to a4, pretending like you just wanted to attack and overlook that. Instead of moving back, the queen can go forward and capture the pawn. And here comes the trap. You go rook to a5, and it turns out that white's queen is going to be trapped. For example, after queen to b8, you shut the door by going pawn to d6 so that the queen can no longer escape through this diagonal, and on the next move after whatever white plays here, you go knight to d7, and then you go capture the queen, and it has no square to escape to. So it's really, I think, there is some ultimate justice in the way that they tried this unsound early queen attack, and the queen was punished for that, and now you are capturing it and winning the game. Alright, let's continue to the second variation that you gotta know. So today it's all about the Sicilian defense. By the way, if you haven't watched my videos about countering early queen attacks after pawn e5, I'll leave the links in the description down below. I've already recorded a few videos and they've been very popular, so I think people are enjoying and benefiting from them, so you may check them out just as well. Anyway, today let's switch back to the Sicilian defense. They go bishop c4, you play knight to c6, allowing them their early queen attack, and we've just covered queen to f3. Now let's take a look at queen to h5, trying to checkmate you that way. Another trick white is hoping for is if you play automatically pawn to g6, trying to close this diagonal, then at least they're going to grab this pawn on c5 and they got something out of their early queen attack, so it was kind of successful. Now instead of pawn to g6, you do want to play pawn to e6. This way not only you cover this diagonal, but also you open up bishop so that it starts defending this pawn on c5 and white can no longer capture it. They'll usually just play knight f3, trying to simply continue their development. And here you go knight f6, trying to attack this queen. It's a common theme in all these variations. You can see that the way to punish this early queen attack is by attacking that queen, because that's why classical chess rules suggest you not to expose your queen too early in the game, because it will give your opponents extra tempos by attacking that queen. And that's exactly what you're doing here to white. So knight f6, you're attacking the queen, attacking this pawn on e4, which forces white to go queen to h4. Now you play pawn d5. Once again, another counter-attacking move. What I've noticed by analyzing games is that one of the common errors of black is that they're just too defensive. They simply try to defend against those attacks. And you gotta remind yourself that those are uncalled for attacks. They aren't really dangerous, they're just tricky. And you gotta be brutal and aggressive against them. So pawn e5 is the way to go. You attack the bishop, attack this pawn. After this recapture, you can see that you gained one more tempo by attacking this time the bishop. Also, you have now your active light square bishop. They'll usually play bishop b5. Now you play go bishop e7, which develops the bishop, but also kind of x-rays this queen, which is already somewhat uncomfortable for white. They usually trade here on c6 because there is nothing else their bishop is doing anyway. So they trade here, and then they castle. Again, they hope to switch back to normal chess, but our idea is to punish them, right? We decided to be merciless. So here, we still want to take advantage of this exposed queen. And you do that by going knight to g4. And you start kind of surrounding the queen and start pressuring it, really. And there aren't that many good squares for the queen to go to. Well, first off, you're attacking it, okay? You're going to capture it. Now, the queen can never really go back to h3, because then it goes under this x-ray, and you can jump knight to f2 or knight to e3 and win the game that way. We're going to talk about that in a moment. If the queen goes back to g3, you can chase it with bishop d6, also targeting this pawn potentially. So that also is not helpful. In most cases, they go queen h5. They still hope to keep their queen closer to your king so that they can somehow attack you later. But to this, you just go pawn g6. We keep attacking the queen. Now, it is forced to move back to h3. All the other squares are covered by your pieces. The knight is covering this one. So the queen is forced all the way back. And now you can use this exposed position of the queen to attack it. And you could take this pawn. Even stronger is to go knight to e3. So we're attacking the queen. Now your knight is also attacking this rook. And after the queen goes somewhere, it doesn't matter. Queen g3, you could take the rook. That would be good enough to win the game. Even stronger is to capture this pawn on c2. Because in this case, you grabbed one pawn. And now you want to win this rook for nothing, right? So knight takes f1 was an exchange of your knight for the rook, which is still good, but knight to c2 aims to win it for free, and maybe we'll try to somehow capture a knight there in the corner of the board, but it'll still take effort for them, and it's unclear if they'll succeed. So that just gives you this decisive material advantage. Currently you're a pawn up, you're going to get the free rook in the next move, and that's how you punished white for trying this unsound attack against